You have been told one thing, over and over again: fast, go without food, restrict your window, push through the hunger. And only then, only in that depleted and starved state, will your cells finally begin to clean themselves. That is the rule. That has been the rule for a decade. And it is incomplete, because there is a class of compounds found in ordinary foods sitting in your kitchen right now that can activate the same cellular recycling process without a single hour of fasting, without hunger, without cortisol spikes from caloric deprivation, without the quiet muscle loss that extended fasting produces in people over 40. The process is called autophagy. And the people running the most advanced longevity research on the planet have known for years that certain molecules in food can switch it on while you are still in your eating window. Nobody made a video about it. So here is the one they did not. There is something that happens when you commit to fasting long enough. The hunger passes, but something else appears in its place. A fatigue that is not physical. A flatness. A gray quality to the hours. Your body is running on reserves, and somewhere under the discipline, a quiet system is registering that as a threat rather than a benefit. That is not weakness. That is biology operating exactly as designed. And here is the part the fasting-only conversation has always glossed over. The cellular cleanup process you are trying to trigger through starvation can be initiated through a completely different signal. Not, I am running out of resources. But rather, these specific molecular keys are present, and they fit the locks that open autophagy. Today, I am going to walk you through all 7 of those keys. The compound in each one, the exact mechanism it uses to activate autophagy, and what the peer-reviewed research actually says. This is not about abandoning fasting. This is about understanding that fasting was never the only road into the building. Biology does not care how you get there. It cares about the signal. Let me take you back to 2016. That year, Yoshinori Ohsumi received the Nobel Prize in Physiology or Medicine for discovering the mechanisms of autophagy. The scientific world knew this process existed. What Ohsumi revealed was how it works: the molecular machinery, the precise signaling pathways, the switches that turn it on and off at the cellular level. One of those switches is a protein complex called mTOR. mTOR is the gatekeeper. When it is active, when it is online and running, autophagy is blocked. Your cells are in growth mode. They are building, expanding, accumulating. mTOR active means autophagy off. That is the relationship, and it is the core of everything that follows. Fasting suppresses mTOR by removing the nutrients that fuel it. Starve the gatekeeper, and the gate opens. That is the mechanism behind every intermittent fasting protocol ever written. But here is what the research reveals. And this is the paradigm shift that most content in this space has failed to communicate. mTOR is not the only switch. There are parallel pathways: AMPK activation, SIRT1 signaling, EP300 inhibition, that can open the same gate through a completely different mechanism. Not by starving the gatekeeper, but by presenting a different set of credentials that bypass it entirely. The compounds that carry those credentials are not synthetic pharmaceuticals. They are not experimental molecules in a lab. They are polyphenols, flavonoids, polyamines, and isothiocyanates, biological compounds produced by plants, found in food, that your body has been co-evolving with for hundreds of thousands of years. The question was never only, how long have I gone without eating? The question was always, what signal is my cellular system currently receiving? 7 foods, 7 compounds, 7 distinct mechanisms, all of them arriving at the same destination: a cell that has received permission to clean itself. Food 1. Green tea. The active compound is EGCG, epigallocatechin gallate. It is one of the most studied polyphenols in nutritional biochemistry, and its relationship with autophagy is now well established in the literature. Here is what EGCG does inside your cells. It inhibits the Pi3K, AKT, mTOR pathway, the same pathway that fasting suppresses, while simultaneously increasing AMPK phosphorylation. AMPK is the energy-sensing enzyme that acts as autophagy's accelerator. More AMPK activity means a stronger autophagy signal. EGCG hits both switches at once. The gate closes on mTOR. The accelerator engages. Cellular cleanup begins. 1 cup of high-quality green tea, matcha specifically, delivers a concentrated dose of EGCG within minutes. No hunger required. Food 2. Turmeric. The compound is curcumin, and its autophagy mechanism is different from EGCG, which is exactly why combining them is more powerful than either alone. Curcumin works through the PI3K, AKT, mTOR pathway, but it also triggers something called endoplasmic reticulum stress, a cellular signal that initiates autophagy through a completely separate entry point. Researchers use autophagy markers called LC32 and BACLIN1 to confirm that a cell is genuinely cleaning itself. In peer-reviewed cell studies, curcumin upregulates both, not theoretically, measurably. The bioavailability problem is real. Curcumin absorbs poorly on its own. The fix is ancient and validated. Black pepper, piperine, the active compound in black pepper, increases curcumin absorption by up to 2,000%. Add fat. Add black pepper. Then the signal reaches the cell. Food 3. Broccoli. Specifically broccoli sprouts. The compound is sulforaphane, and what a January 2025 study published in Frontiers in Nutrition found about sulforaphane reframes it entirely. The researchers described sulforaphane as a caloric restriction mimetic, a compound that produces the same cellular responses as fasting without actual caloric restriction. It activates multiple starvation response pathways simultaneously. Your cells receive a signal that is biochemically indistinguishable from a fasted state. Autophagy follows. Sulforaphane is released when glucoraphanin, stored in the raw vegetable, contacts an enzyme called myrosinase, which is activated by chopping or chewing. The implication is this: raw or lightly steamed broccoli. Cook it fully and you denature the enzyme. The compound disappears before it reaches your bloodstream. Broccoli sprouts carry 10 to 100 times more glucoraphanin than mature broccoli. A small handful of sprouts delivers more autophagic signal than a full head of the adult vegetable. If this is reframing how you think about what food is actually doing inside your cells, hit the like button right now. It takes 1 second, and it tells the algorithm this is content worth putting in front of people who actually need it. Now back to the science. Food 4. Red grapes and berries. 2 compounds. 2 distinct mechanisms. Resveratrol, found in red grape skins, activates a protein called SIRT1, a longevity enzyme in the sirtuin family. SIRT1 then activates AMPK while simultaneously inhibiting mTOR. The gate opens. The accelerator engages. Autophagy initiates through a pathway that fasting also uses, but through a completely different upstream trigger. The second compound is physitin, found in strawberries. Physitin is classified as a senolytic, a molecule that specifically targets and removes senescent cells, the aged and dysfunctional cells that accumulate over time and drive chronic inflammation. A 2024 review in Science Direct confirmed that physitin activates the FOXO3A autophagy signaling pathway, triggering cellular cleanup while simultaneously clearing senescent burden. It does 2 jobs in one. Blueberries carry pterostilbene, a compound structurally similar to resveratrol with superior bioavailability. Blackberries and raspberries provide ellagic acid, which enhances cellular cleanup with particular affinity for brain tissue. The berry conversation is not about antioxidants anymore. It is about direct autophagy signaling. Food 5. Extra virgin olive oil. Not olive oil. Extra virgin olive oil. The distinction is the polyphenol content, and the polyphenol that matters here is oleuropein. Oleuropein is the most abundant phenolic compound in extra virgin olive oil. A 2025 study published in Biofactors confirmed that oleuropein aglycone, the active form, activates MPK and FOXO3A signaling pathways in human skeletal muscle cells, enhancing autophagy while simultaneously protecting against oxidative damage and muscle degradation. The mechanism works through calcium signaling. Oleuropein triggers a rapid release of calcium from intracellular stores, which activates an enzyme called CAMKKB, which in turn phosphorylates and activates AMPK. AMPK then suppresses mTOR. The gate opens. This also explains one of the most consistent findings in Mediterranean diet research. The populations that consume the highest amounts of high phenolic olive oil demonstrate measurably better cellular maintenance markers than those consuming refined oils, even when total fat intake is comparable. It was never about fat. It was about the signal the polyphenols were delivering. Food 6. Mushrooms, wheat germ, and natto. The compound linking all 3 is spermidine, a naturally occurring polyamine that represents perhaps the most compelling autophagy-activating molecule in the current longevity research literature. The mechanism is entirely distinct from everything listed above. Spermidine does not touch mTOR directly. Instead, it inhibits an enzyme called EP300, an acetyltransferase that suppresses autophagy by acetylating the proteins that initiate cellular cleanup. Inhibit EP300, and the brake comes off. Autophagy runs. This pathway is mTOR independent, which means spermidine can activate autophagy in cellular environments where the mTOR pathway is already occupied or resistant. It works through a different door. A 2025 study from Waseda University, published in Molecular Nutrition and Food Research, demonstrated that yeast-fermented garlic extract, rich in spermidine, significantly increased autophagic flux in human cell lines through a specific spermine to spermidine ratio acting on a transcription factor called EGR-1. Shiitake mushrooms, Japanese natto, wheat germ, aged cheddar. These are not health foods by reputation alone. They are autophagy delivery systems by mechanism. Food 7. Onions, apples, kale, and cranberries. The compound is quercetin, and in August 2024, a study published in Frontiers in Medicine provided some of the most detailed mechanistic data available on quercetin's relationship with autophagy across multiple organ systems simultaneously. The researchers documented that quercetin inhibits the PI3K, AKT, mTOR pathway, consistent with what we have seen in other compounds, but simultaneously upregulates both LC3A, LC3B, and Baclin-1, the two primary autophagy execution markers: liver, spleen, kidneys. Multi-organ autophagy activation from a single dietary flavonoid. Quercetin also functions as a senolytic alongside physitin, clearing senescent cells while promoting autophagy in healthy tissue. Red onions are among the highest quercetin sources available. Apples, with the skin intact, deliver a significant dose alongside pectin, which feeds the gut microbiome that in turn produces additional autophagy supporting metabolites. The combination is not coincidental. It is a system. Before the close, I want to hear from you. Drop a comment below. Which of these 7 compounds surprised you most? Which one are you already eating and had no idea it was doing this inside your cells? I read every comment. I reply. Here is what the research-aligned daily eating pattern looks like, built around these 7 autophagy signals. Morning begins with matcha, or high-quality green tea. EGCG on an empty or near-empty stomach is absorbed more efficiently than in the presence of large amounts of protein or starch. Drink it first. Your first meal incorporates turmeric with black pepper and a fat source, whether that is eggs cooked in extra virgin olive oil, or any preparation that ensures both bioavailability requirements are met for curcumin. Raw or lightly steamed broccoli sprouts on the side. If sprouts are not accessible, raw broccoli, chopped not cooked, at minimum. Mid-meal, or as a second eating occasion, a small bowl of mixed berries, strawberries for physitin, blueberries for pterostilbene, red grapes if available. This is not a fruit portion. This is a targeted autophagy delivery. A tablespoon of high-phenolic extra virgin olive oil, not for cooking at high heat, which degrades polyphenols, drizzled cold over food, or consumed directly. For spermidine, natto twice a week if tolerable. Shiitake mushrooms incorporated into meals. Wheat germ added to smoothies or yogurt. Aged cheese in moderation. The target is consistent spermidine exposure across the week, not a single large dose. And the quercetin source you are probably already eating. Red onions in salads. Apples with the skin. Any leafy greens you are already consuming. The dose is not the challenge here. The consistency is. What changes when you stack these 7 compounds consistently, not occasionally, but consistently, is that your cellular environment maintains a baseline autophagic tone between fasting periods. When you do fast, you are amplifying a system that is already running. When you eat, you are sustaining it rather than switching it off. By week 2, you will notice a shift in inflammatory markers, in joints, digestion, mental clarity. By week 6, the cellular maintenance is measurable in people who track blood markers, not because you added more discipline, because you changed the signal. The fasting conversation was built on a true premise, but it captured only half the mechanism. Yes, removing food suppresses mTOR and opens the autophagy gate. That part is real and validated and important. But the conclusion that fasting is the only input your cellular system responds to, that conclusion was always an assumption dressed up as a rule. Your cells do not know what time it is. They do not know whether you are fasting or eating. They know only what signals are present in their environment. And for billions of years, those signals came from food, from the plants and compounds and molecules that co-evolved alongside the cellular machinery they now activate. Autophagy is not a state of absence. It is a state of signal. And those signals can arrive through the absence of food or through the presence of the right molecules. Both pathways are real. Both pathways are validated. Neither one cancels the other. The most complete version of cellular longevity is not choosing between them. It is understanding that they are the same conversation, in different languages. You were not failing at fasting because you lacked discipline. You may have been missing the half of the picture that nobody was drawing for you. Every berry you eat from this point forward, every cup of green tea, every drizzle of high phenolic olive oil over a meal, every handful of broccoli sprouts, all of it is a signal, a key turning in the same lock. You do not have to be starving to begin. You just have to know what to eat. The mechanism was always there. It just needed to be translated. If you have never been told that autophagy has a parallel pathway through food compounds, that EGCG and spermidine and sulforaphane can activate cellular cleanup without a single hour of fasting, subscribe to this channel. This is what we build here. Not motivation content. Not surface-level wellness advice. The actual mechanism your cells use to make decisions about repair, aging, and longevity, explained in the language of the science, translated into something you can use tomorrow morning. Every week, every video, built exactly like this one. Like this video if it changed how you are thinking about what food is actually doing at the cellular level. 1 second. It puts this research in front of the people who need it most, and share it, specifically with someone who has been told that fasting is the only way in. Someone disciplined enough to do it, but struggling with the physiological cost. Show them the other door. The science has always been there. It just needed someone to point at it.